All right. Thank you for joining me in the pledge. And now we will have roll call, please. Thank you.
Sherry Butler.
Here.
Kyler Cox.
Here.
Shannon Murray.
Here.
Ashley Pasquale.
Here.
Alex Ross.
Here.
Philip Shannon.
Here.
Todd Taylor. Alexis Wolf.
Here.
Natalie Strader.
Here.
And Council Member Lynn will be absent this evening.
Okay, thank you. And next we have the call to the public, which is an opportunity for any citizens to address the board if they wish. I don't see anyone jumping up, so I will move on to the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the July 25th meeting minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there
Aye.
any, sorry, Mr. Ross. Are there any opposed? And I'm not voting since I was absent at that meeting. Okay, thank you. And next we have item 6, the staff report. Mr. Keene.
Thank you. A few things going on around town. At the Aquatic Center, the high school will have home swim meets September 1st, 15th, and 29th. The fire department will have a new hire swim training on September 1st. The pool will be closed on September 5th for Labor Day. Our after-school program will come to the Aquatic Center for their swims on September 8th and 22nd. And we have a fish and wildlife training on September 13th. Our after-school program will be, again, having field trips beginning on September 8th. September 8th and the 22nd are to the Aquatic Center. Their fall fun fair will be held October 15th. Meetings will be held in September. Any interesting groups or clubs can contact Sarah Ross at 453-8686. Sorry. And we are still looking to hire additional recreation staff in our after-school program and cashiers at the Aquatic Center. All interested candidates can apply at www.lhcaz.gov. Few events in the community center. The Arizona Sunshine Free Health Clinic will be held September 8th and 9th. Abundance Grace celebration of 30 years will be held on September 11th. The Chamber of Commerce Tech Fest will be held September 13th. Community Resource Coalition meeting will be held on September 15th. The Republican Great American Barbecue on September 17th. And the Lake Havasu City Home Show September 23rd and 24th. Few events out in the parks. We have the Suicide Awareness and Prevention Walk at Rotary Park on September 10th. The 9/11 rededication at London Bridge Beach the morning of September 11th. Campbell Boat Club 50th Anniversary Regatta at London Bridge Beach and dinner under the London Bridge on September 24th. And Lake Havasu City Constitution Week will have an event on the parcel on McCulloch September 24th. The parks crews have been out in full force with the storm damage this week, as well as some of the weed harvesting through the channel at contact point for the emergency personnel, as well as in front of Windsor. So they've been out and busy. That concludes my director's report. With that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions from board members?
Mr. Chair? How long has the city been hosting the Fall Fun Fair? I know, put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Long time, I know. Just curious to know if
I do not have that information with me, but I can get it to you.
That's okay. That's all right. I just want to say it's a great program. Participating in it as a kid and then as an adult, actually having a booth there, it's great to see the kids there. Again, anybody interested, get a hold of Sarah. Sarah's amazing. I'll tell you, she coordinates that and does a great job. So if you could pass on the thanks to her, that's a staple of this community, that event. And then the weed harvesting, on the lake in the channel. Shout out to Tyler. Coordinate that. Driving that boat, I guess we'll call it. I don't know, floating lawnmower maybe. Again, it's a huge necessity out there. You see these jet skis and these jet boats and even prop boats getting caught up in those weeds. So again, a huge asset to our community. So great job to Tyler and obviously you and your staff for making that happen. And then finally, again, the monsoon season this year is just been crazy. So, I've been seeing your guys out there actively keeping the city looking beautiful. So great job.
Nice, thank you. The parcel in McCulloch, is that area over the wash?
The parcel is where the downtown Catalyst project is being
Oh.
designed there on the corner of Quarrio and McCulloch.
Okay, so we're referring to it as the parcel for now.
Yeah, we haven't really come up with a good name for it yet. As it gets, I think, closer to actual construction, we'll have some sort of naming competition or something to gather the public interest in it.
Nice, thank you. Any other questions? All right. Was that the rest of the report? All right, thank you. So next we have election of officers. So should I ask for a nomination for chair first and then vice chair? Okay. So do we have a nomination for chair? And maybe, can I ask a question? What was the reason for tabling this item last month?
Without having a chair and a vice chair, and 4 new board members, I just didn't really feel comfortable opening that up to a vote that evening.
Okay, thanks.
You guys can nominate yourselves as well.
Would anyone like to throw their name in the hat?
I'd like to nominate. I'd like to nominate Kyler if he would accept it.
Sure. I'll take the nomination. Thank you, Sherry.
Great. Any other nominations? Okay, then all those in favor of Mr. Kyler Cox being chair, please say aye.
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 Do you want to vote for yourself?
I'll abstain to that vote, I guess.
Okay. Any opposed? And any abstain? Okay, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, at this time, do we have a nomination for vice chair?
Miss Chair? Miss Chair right now? I'd like to nominate you for vice chair. If you would kindly accept that nomination, that'd be helpful.
Sure, I'd be happy to. But I'm hoping if anyone else would like to, that say so now. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And are there any opposed? And I'm abstaining. Thank you. So do I turn it over now or do I finish the meeting?
You're doing a great job.
Okay. This is the last time. All right, great. So we have 3 items for public hearings. The first is the Downtown Catalyst Project update.
So the Downtown Catalyst Project is just a little bit of a reminder. It is on the corner of Quarrio and McCulloch. This project has been a staple on the agenda for quite a few months now and will continue to be as we work through finishing the design of the project with Dig Studios. So this is a rendering that came out during the 30% after we had some public meetings and Dig Studios was able to work up some different concepts. This was the concept that was at the 30% design documents that was kind of pushed forward. It was a combination of a couple of the different designs that they had brought forward, as well as taking into account public comments, and they were able to merge all those together to kind of form this, again, a little bit of a design here. This is more in a format of just kind of here are the main elements of what we're looking at. An entrance on McCulloch, an entrance on Querio, some bathroom structures, a main stage area or event gathering space, as well as the shade structures. The kind of the circular path was one of the concepts, again, that was brought forward and liked by the community. So that was kind of at the 30%, again, documents. It was just more of a placeholder for what amenities we might be looking at. So then as we get into the 60% designs, which have been turned into the city and are currently under review, we get a little bit more technical into these designs. So you can kind of see in these, there's things like grading, what the grade is going to be, where exactly electrical hookups might come into play, where some lighting will be, what those, how bright those lights could be across the whole thing. I did not include the entire 60% documents here because there's 60, 80 pages of documents. So I didn't think you guys really wanted to kind of go through all of those technical specs. But as you can see, the design itself is relatively the same. There has been some modifications made for easeability. I'll use, you can kind of see on the, I don't know if my cursor works here. Yeah, there we go. This area right here is actually the bathroom structure. So in the previous diagram, you saw them kind of side by side. Now they're just moved and a little bit closer to McCulloch. That was some of the feedback that was received during events from the shop owners, as well as that makes it easier for a street hookup for sewer and water as well. We don't have to go quite as far. There's actually a hookup right below that, right kind of by the access, where we'll put in a ramp on that sidewalk to have access to the project there. So in the 60%, again, we get a little bit more technical. So the next step, as the city engineering staff reviews these, Dig Studio will come out with their 90% documents. And that's where they actually go as far as picking what materials, some of the name brands of the lighting fixtures, the shade structure. I do have a kind of a rendering here. Again, these are on the 60% design of what the shade structure kind of looks like. As far as, I know one of my concerns when I first saw that diagram was, okay, is someone going to be able to jump up and grab it? Is there, that type of vandalism? As you can see, it does sit up quite high with the people in there. And again, you can kind of see here along the beams is where some of that lighting will take place. Those beams will also be used as power. So there'll be connection to power at each one of them. So those are the type of things that are in the 60. Again, when we get to 90, they'll start picking out actual products in there. Once the 90% documents get completed, and that should be in the next, once we approve the 60, that should be in the next probably month or two. We will be able to also then request a price for this project, an estimate of what all this is going to cost. And that will give us a better idea and understanding of where we're at. And okay, if we need to make some modifications, what are those priorities? How can we make that work? So those will be coming again in the next month or two. We'll be able to see those and getting the pricing estimates. And then once those are approved, then we'll actually go to construction documents, and Dig Studios will produce all the construction documents or the blueprints for the project in the thought that if all the financials are approved and everything, then we would be able to send that out to bid for construction. So that's kind of where the project is standing right now. Again, we're at that 60% design with Dig Studios, and they're just waiting on the final review from the city engineering staff and our little work group to go ahead and go with the 90% documents. And again, they'll start picking out actual materials and manufacturers of each of the pieces. So that's kind of my update for this month. With that, I'll take any questions.
I was wondering if we could go back to the initial diagram or that one too. This is the first time I'm kind of seeing this, so conceptualizing. The stage, is that kind of white?
Yes,
Okay.
this area right here.
Okay, and then the bathrooms are right there? Okay,
Here, and then again, in that next document or picture, we did move them down here more on this sidewalk
okay.
area for easier access.
And those shade structures, you mentioned like somebody grabbing up in vandalism. Are they movable or are they?
They will be fixed.
Okay. Okay. And the walkway leading up to the stage, is that kind of for, bands setting up? It looks great. I'm just kind of curious about what all went into it and everything. And
Sure. This is just that. It's a walkway, a piece of concrete that divides the property as well in a realm that, depending on the size of an event that you have, you could maybe set your event up if you have a smaller event where it would just be in a smaller space. So therefore, you're not looking like you're setting up 4 tables in a massive, facility. This would look a little bit better. So it separates that. It also gives one of the big things that we want to push is that this is for everyday use as well. We're not just doing events here. So this gives access across the park in some different directions, a different way to get through there. In the future, we are looking at the possibility of, the bridge concept is still there across the wash here over to Mesquite Park. So then that piece coming across there would be a nice shortcut to get over to the bridge.
thank you.
Other questions, comments?
I just want to make a comment. I think that moving the bathrooms down closer to the street, especially on McCulloch, was a good decision. I just went out on Saturday night and saw, kind of who's hanging out. And I just think having the bathrooms closer versus having to walk through the park is a good. So I just thought that was excellent.
And I had a few questions. On the next slide, so the 5 little rectangular structures, what are those?
Those are actually picnic tables.
Okay, so in the other visual, they were along the path. Is that just so there's a fluid walking path?
Correct.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and those really, they're going to be movable. We're going to be able to put them wherever we see fit best or see best fit. The concept in this design was that they're a little bit closer here on Querio. If we had food trucks or something park along Querio, it'd be a nice spot to be able to go sit and eat.
Okay.
But again, those are very movable, and we'll be moving them for every event that takes place.
Okay. And as far as future planning for the use of it, will this park have to comply with the hours of all of the other parks?
That's a good question. One of the things that we have tried to steer away from is actually calling this a park. So
For what reason?
Just because I think it's a little bit more than that park. It's that downtown gathering space. It is trying to be an economic driver for the downtown and being that catalyst. So I think there's some different pieces and different elements that are there and could be there in the future. One of them being the commercial element that is, that piece is still out there, where we don't really do a whole lot of commercial elements into our normal parks. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. So we're kind of steering away from the using it as the term a park. but it still serves a lot of those same functions.
Okay.
Did
So-
that answer your question?
Okay, so that is still being determined about the
Yes.
hours?
And for events, it would just have to comply with the noise ordinance for special events,
Okay.
if we did have anything down there.
And I know this has been said before, but just to say it again, when the space is not reserved for events, it's completely open to the public.
Yes, 100%. I want to see people up there using it. It amazes me to this day. Right now, it is anybody can go up there and use that space. I see a lot of people that will walk all the way around on the sidewalk as opposed to walking across. You are allowed to walk across it. It is a public space. You are allowed to sit down there and have lunch. If you want to stargaze there, it's you can. It is a public space that can be used.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? Yeah.
Yes. I guess kind of getting to more the meat and potatoes of this. Great design, as always. I think we're definitely where I think we should be. As far as what we've paid Dig Studios to do, is that the 100% rendering? Is that included in what we've already paid?
Yes, everything that, as far as the 90% documents, the construction documents, once we get there, the full blueprints are all included in the dollars that we have spent with Dig Studios.
Okay. So when we do get, I guess, the finalized idea and the finalized plans and things like that, you said that that's when we'll start getting a better idea of a total price?
Correct.
Okay. So with that being said, I mean, I hate to see us spinning our wheels. I think all of us can look at this and assume it's going to be more than what we have as far as what we've been allotted as far as the America's Best Communities contest. How do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Once we get those finalized plans and construction documents, I mean, what happens?
So Dig Studios will do a presentation to City Council that kind of spells out exactly what this project is going to cost, and what we can do with the dollars from America's Best Communities, and what are the additional fees if we want to see it all built out in phase one. There are some other opportunities through some grant funding that we are looking at. And once we get those 90% documents, I will be able to submit some grant applications, and also then work with the city manager and finance as far as if this is an item to look at into the budgeting for next year. The timing of that should be just about right as we start working in our budget in the first part of 2023. So that'll all fit into that timing very nicely. And ultimately, council will let us know if those dollars will be allocated for this project, or if they want to see it phased out a little bit more.
Okay. I guess my question is, and we can't, and I can't expect you, and I apologize, I can't expect you to assume what the council is going to do, but it seems that the recent trend with kind of with the way this has been brought up is that they didn't seem very interested in adding other dollars. Again, I don't want to speak for them. I just, the feeling kind of that I got talking with Councilmember Lynn last time during the meeting, I would assume we would have to potentially cut the costs in half to try to get to our dollar amount. So how do we go from there? Would that have to be more money towards Dig to change everything again, or is that all within our contract with Dig?
It will be within our agreement with them. Okay. They're very aware. Council made them very aware during their presentation to them that the initial budget for this project was the $1 million, which 200,000 of it, basically 185, I think, was the Dig studio contract for the design work. So really, we're down to about 800,000 for construction. So they're aware of that. So they will make kind of that phased approach very easy. And almost like a cafeteria. Okay, you can do this with this amount of money, or this piece can be this amount of money.
Okay. Yeah, that was, I guess, my worry is, like I said, I think we have a great design. I would just hate to see, the council say, no, stay within your means. And I think we can all agree this is not going to be within our current means. And then us have to maybe try to like come up with more funds to redesign things and stuff like that. So I guess my last question is when we talk about grants and stuff like that and I think there is, but are there grants that are eligible for this kind of project that are in the realm of what we're going to be needing potentially?
Yes, Arizona State Parks and Trails has some heritage funds that would kind of fit exactly with this type of project. So that is a grant that we will look at and discuss with them about the opportunity to apply for that.
Okay, so we're not necessarily dead in the water if the council comes back and says we don't want to spend any more money. There is funding opportunities.
I'm sure if we found some additional funding opportunities, council would be more than happy to listen to that.
Awesome. Thank you for your diligent work.
I have a quick question for you. So if somebody were to rent this space out, right, we're months down the road and it's all built out, is there going to be like security to ensure that the space is blocked off for that private event, or have we gotten that far yet?
We currently do rent it out for a lot of events, and they can rent fencing if it's a private event or a ticketed event, and or requirement for any liquor licenses that might be held on that property. So we would run that much the same way through our special event permitting process.
I think it's giving you some trouble.
No?
You have a magic touch.
Yeah, so I appreciate the explanation that you gave about not calling it a park, but I've lived in Havasu a long time. It's going to be called a park. And so to name it is a big deal. To name it something that gives an idea of where it's located, you could call it Main Street Park as an example. And I'm not sure I would be opposed to that. It is going to be a park. And there could be reasons why you're not going to name it a park, but it is a park. So I'm just putting that out there. I think Main Street gives it a location. You're going to start calling it something, like you said, Ashley, are we calling this a project? Whatever. So that's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Other comments? In terms of the funding, I don't know what's the city's appetite or regulations around sponsorships? Like, could the stage be built with and named someone's stage?
Yes, most definitely. We can look at those options as well as, looking out to some of the service organizations. They're Rotary, Lions, all those organizations have given dollars in the past to different city parks, city events. So those will all that funding mechanisms will be looked at and researched into different ways of being able to help fund this project.
And is it still the role, or would it be appropriate for this board, once it is at that 90% and you get some cost estimates, would this board, would it be appropriate for us to make some kind of recommendation to the city council?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay, great. Okay, other questions or comments? Anyone from the public or press? All right, we will go on to item 7.2, the Aquatic Center HVAC project.
Okay, so we have had a couple initial meetings with the general contractor and our project management team for this project. The company, Comfort Systems is the company that will be doing this project. They will start mobilization on October 31st, coming over from Phoenix. So the project will kind of get started there in the first week of November. In our meetings, we have a good window of opportunity there for some of the work to be done during our annual shutdown of the Aquatic Center, where we do a lot of cleaning and work on the pool side. During that time, the locker rooms are obviously shut, and so that will be a nice window, and they're able to, in our first two initial meetings, they're going to be able to meet that timeline in November to be able to go in and install the ductwork in the locker rooms. So that will be a huge help to us in the fact that we won't have to have those closures later in the year. They're also going to put up some of the structural steel during that time so that when the units do come in, that part will already be done. They can just set the units. One of the concerns is anytime you're adding that structural steel to the building does have to be kind of vacated underneath where they're putting that. So this will be a good opportunity and some good timing. So they'll come in and again in November during our usual annual shutdown and do a lot of this work, and then they'll kind of not necessarily disappear, but they'll slow down their work for a while until those units become available and they're able to come in and actually set them and get that part of the project done. I want to talk a little bit about what actually is included in the project. I know this was brought up last month as well, that there's some comments that that's an awful expensive air conditioner. It's a lot more than just adding an air conditioner to the pool area. So I'm just going to kind of list out some of the pieces of the project. So there are 2 dehumidification units. Those will be the air handlers and the cooling towers that will go on the Aquatic Center side. Those are 80-ton units. We will be adding 1 new rooftop heating and cooling unit, and then 2 split units. Currently, the administration offices, the lobby, and the front desk area all run off of the same unit. So as you can only imagine, the temperatures are very different in those spaces. So one office might be feeling very comfortable, where at the front desk they're either frying or freezing, depending on how that setting is going. So another piece of this project will be to separate those units so that again, that comfortability throughout the building is there and not just in one area. Replacing all the locker room ductwork. Again, that was an area in the 2016 study that was identified as a main piece of equipment that was kind of starting to corrode and needing to be replaced. So that will get done as well. Back in the pool equipment room, we currently have 1 chemical storage room, which is where we keep our muriatic acid that lowers the pH in the pool. That room, fumes for muriatic acid over the period of almost 30 years now, has really kind of deteriorated that room. So that room will get gutted, redone. The natural gas line that heats the boiler, or that feeds the boiler, is also located in that room. So we'll be moving that out of the room so that we don't have any future concerns there. And then we're creating a whole nother chemical storage room that will contain our chlorine. Right now our chlorine comes in 55-gallon drums, and is just kind of, they're in the pool pump room. So that area will get its own special room that'll help with any containment, any issues there. And then also one of the pieces too, if we're going to do all this project, is really sealing up the aquatics center. Right now we've got very leaky garage doors. There's a lot of sliders that open to the outside. So we're going to replace all of those. All the glass will be then glazed so that the reflective material is there to kind of keep those UV rays out, some of the heat out of the building as well, just to make the whole thing run a lot more efficient. So there is a lot more to the project than yes, it would be just an expensive air conditioner if that's what the project was. But it does contain a lot more pieces to that. So with that, I will take any questions.
Well, thank you for that explanation. That's really helpful. Questions or comments? So are you planning on maintaining the outside area still, though? There will be access.
Yes, there will
with
be.
those changes?
Yeah, we're just going to reduce. It's either going to be 1 or 2 sliders going to the outside from the 6 that we have currently.
Great.
I just have to say, for those that may be saying that that's a very expensive air conditioner, I guess maybe haven't been in that building in August. Obviously, there's a lot more to the project, but the air conditioning and the dehumidification part is huge. Mm-hmm. So thanks for pushing that through and making it happen. Because like I said, it's uncomfortable, to say the least, to be in there in August. And I think that's when people want to be there the most. So I think it's much needed. And then finally, we've talked about it as part of this board, let's take care of what we have. It'd be great to just build this brand new shiny thing next door or whatever the case may be. But, if it costs $3 million to take care of what we already have, and again, that being the aquatic center itself, which is a huge community center, more than just a pool, then that's what it needs. And this city, we're getting old. The city is getting old. We have to invest into what we have, and we have to take care of our infrastructure. So again, great project, much needed. I remember being there as a kid and where we're at now, and you guys have done a great job taking care of it, but this is definitely a much needed project.
I agree. Any other comments or questions? I have to ask, anyone from the public want to comment? All right. Then we will move on to our third public hearing, which is the pickleball court project.
So just kind of an update on the pickleball courts. The notice to proceed was given to TR Orr on August 16th. So they have 120 calendar days from that date to complete the project. So that really puts it in, I believe, December 14th is what that date looks like. We did have our first construction meeting with TR Orr last week, and they are actually starting grading on the area to be used as that next 4 courts. They're starting the grading this week. So the project is moving along. They do not anticipate any hiccups or holdups at this point. One of the things that is nice is, again, working with TR Orr, they did build the last 8. They were the general contractor. They, at the time, utilized Elite Sports to pour the post-tension concrete as well as surface those courts. Elite Sports built the first 4 courts as well, so they've been in the project in some way, shape, or form the entire time. TR Orr has every intention of utilizing them again for the last 4 here to, again, pour the post-tension concrete and surface the courts. So it's really nice to have kind of all the same sub or similar sub there, and the general contractor being the same and very familiar with the project. So again, right now we don't anticipate there really being any hiccups to the project. Everyone seems very familiar with it. It is fairly straightforward, and we look forward to that completion in December. I will keep the board updated as we go, and some different pictures and things like that as the project comes along. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Questions, comments on the pickleball project? Just a thought, it'd be kind of peak season for pickleball, I think aligns with baseball season as well, right? Springtime. So just with the expansion of this and the narrow entry and exit there, have you worked through any of those issues?
The entranceway is a little tough. as far as what we can do there, there is actually a house now built on the piece of property that enters or right by the entrance. That wasn't city property there. As far as parking, that's always our biggest concern. And then sometimes people will park along that entranceway, and that makes it even tighter. So the parking lot that we just kind of graded in with the expansion project, we do now have curbing around it, as well as that piece isn't finished yet, or this piece isn't finished yet of the road millings from when they milled McCullough and repaved it. We have a bunch of them up there that will spread in that parking lot, and then it is in the streets budget to come through and chip seal that parking lot as well. So that'll be a nice expanded parking lot that's actually defined a little bit more than just dirt spaces. And that I think will allow some people to feel more comfortable to go up there and actually park, and it should spread out that parking problem that we've had in the past.
Okay, thank you. Comments or questions? I'm not a baseball parent, so does anyone have any concerns? Okay. All right. I don't see anyone coming up to talk on this topic either, so I'll close the public hearings. Thank you. Now we're on to future discussion items. So I don't know if this was talked about last time, but if you have a request, just please share it, and then we just need someone to second that in order for it to be on a future agenda.
This is just more of a question. With all of the rain, we're big Body Beach people, and I noticed there was a big increase in mosquitoes. Is the city planning at any point in spraying again? I didn't know if there was like a current. I just figured I'd ask.
Sure. The county health department actually takes care of the mosquitoes. They come down and I guess survey the ponds to determine the number of mosquitoes, as well as if there's any concern of West Nile or any diseases. And then that's based on how they would spray. But if there are some concerns, definitely let us know. We can reach out to the county health department and let them know.
Thank you.
With the discussion on the aquatic center, and I know it's heavily used, right? It's very well used, and there's programs, and your staff have added some fun things over the last couple of years. I just wondered if this board would be interested in brainstorming other ideas, especially with all these improvements happening to the aquatic center, to maybe expand the age range for activities and things like that. Anyone want to discuss that?
I'll second that.
Great. Was that enough information for a future topic?
I think so.
Okay. Like I'm thinking, what about teen nights or something like that? I don't know if that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Right, you want to discuss it, but we're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I also wondered if at some point before it's too late, if we could talk about summer camp planning. I do follow a lot of parent groups and workforce groups on social media, and this last summer was really challenging for parents who weren't able to get their kids into summer camp because there just wasn't enough space. So if that could be a topic, so we can look at other opportunities for if it's space or staff or whatever the challenges were.
Sure.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Anyone else have any topics for future meetings?
I just have a quick question, if I can revisit something. You mentioned that the aquatic center was needing some staffing, and then you brought up like teen nights, and I just thought, as a way to get teens involved with the community, would those positions be open to high schoolers, or would they be looking more for like an adult employee?
Yeah, no, we hire quite a few high school students. We go up and talk with the counselors and up at the high school as well, and try to get that word out as best we can. That anytime we're hiring. So yeah,
right.
Definitely
Thank you.
we're always looking.
Is 16 the minimum age?
Correct.
Okay. All right, well then, do I need a motion to adjourn, or can I get a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Great. We are adjourned at 6:48.